Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Wolf Pack. Today, I'm excited to tell you about some games that I got to play over the weekend. It was such a rare weekend for gaming because everyone was free. We played all day, Saturday and Sunday, and it was the absolute best. Honestly, playing games back to back to back. Got some titles that hit the table that have been a staple in my collection, and also got some brand new games to the table as well. And that's what I'm excited to tell you about today. As much as I love doing my cinematic upscaled reviews, videos like this honestly make me happy because I get to tell you about a lot of games all at once, and just it feels like you're right across the table from me, and I'm telling you how much I love these games. That's what it feels like. That's why I love doing these videos. So let's go start off with game number one, which is Heat Pedal to the Metal, because there is another game called Heat by itself, but this is Pedal to the Metal by Days of Wonder. Absolutely fun, hilarious game. I only say hilarious because let me explain to you mechanics real quick. So I'll briefly tell you like how all these games work. So don't consider this like full reviews, just a quick mini review and recap of how each game works. So in Heat, it's not an engine builder. It's more so like a hand management game. Heat is honestly Mario Kart in board game form, without the blue shells and all the fun little items. But still, it's so freaking fun. And it is a hand management game. So you have a couple of different types of cards in your hand. You have ones that are straight numbers. It just tells you how many times you go around the track. Everyone has a set of 3 1s, 3 2s, 3 3s, and 3 4s. We also have 1 5, 1 0, and 1 stress card. That stress card, when you play that stress card, it allows you to draw from your deck until you draw a random number. So you can already tell like how fun it's going to be with it being a random encounter, random draw. Now, aside from that stress card, you also have heat. Heat, consider this as like your currency. If you don't have enough heat to expend from your tableau, then your car is going to spin out of control and you're going to pretty much go backwards. It's not good for you, obviously, because you're trying to race it around the track as fast as you can. Can't race around the track if you are stuck behind, spinning out of control. So that's the gist of how heat works. But where it gets really fun and where you can see how everyone can be very conniving and devious is that everyone or the person that is in last place gets a catch-up mechanic specific to them every single turn, and that is the acceleration or adrenaline. Okay, it means you get to move 1 space forward, and also adds 1 more speed to your overall speed. So if I'm last place and I play 3 cards, so I'm going 3 spaces across the track, it adds 2 more spaces to that. So that's the catch-up mechanic for the person in last place. And then if you slide up behind or next to another race car, there's also something that happens called slip speed, which lets you move 2 spaces forward. So because of those 2 mechanics that are locked in place, everyone, and I kid you not, everyone was neck and neck for every game that we played over the weekend. And we played it at 4 players. It is freaking amazing at 4 players. Everyone's just racing against each other. We're going freaking wild on the track. It's a fast game. It's like 30 to 45 minutes. It's a perfect game to introduce new gamers to. Plus, what's also really, really fun and freaking awesome is the stick shift mechanic. So in this game, when you move your pawn forward or you move pawn up, you get to go up another gear. So gear 2, 3, and 4. And when you go up a gear, you have to spend heat, but in exchange, you get to play more speed cards because of that. So when you get to this open field, you just go nuts, shift to gear 4, play all these speed cards, and just speed up to freaking first place. And that happened over the weekend. Bottom line, I knew he was going to be good. I'm so glad it delivered, but I know it's not going to be as fun at 2 than it is going to be at 3 and 4. I feel like you really need that third player to help counter going head to head in 2. I'm for sure going to do a full comprehensive review on Heat once I get into the garage mode, which is where you get to deck build and pretty much build out your car before every single game. So that was super, super fun. I can't wait to play Heat more. Such a fun game. I feel like this is going to be up there with Aquatica and Red Rising in terms of like the complexity and how easy it is to introduce to new gamers. Plus the theme itself, like I feel like it's also going to pull in a whole new audience when they understand, when they start realizing that you can downshift and shift gears, like all the Fast and Furious non-gamers may be converted to gamers when they play Heat. So those are my thoughts on that. Now, before I tell you about the next games, I do want to make a fun announcement. I am partnering with Adrena Creative to give away a set of Dwellings of Eldervale upgrades. So that's going to be the castles, the Elemental Shards, and a dungeon tray stand. We are celebrating the launch of a brand new Etsy shop from Adrena Creative, and I'm so excited to be partnering with them for this. So all you have to do to enter this giveaway, this worldwide giveaway by this date, is tell me in the comments below which game you want to see deluxified upgrades for. That's it. Leave a comment down below by, let's see, I think 3 days by now, by this date and time, and I will pin the comment the day after. On top of that, I'll also be posting it on my Instagram stories too. So make sure you are following both of us on Instagram so you can see updates to see who won that giveaway. Jet from A Journey Creative, thank you so much for partnering with me for this video. And with that said, good luck to all of you. I hope you get to win some fun upgrades for Dwellings. Okay, second game that we dived into was the Great Wall. Also, why do these walls not fit into the box? Honestly, I would rather have a bigger box that fits all the components, but the fact that these don't fit in the box kills me. Like, where do I even put it? Like this on my shelf? Come on. I have a little bit of mixed reviews about it. It's a ton of fun, don't get me wrong. I think it's really, really fun, and I see the potential of how cool the worker placement is, but I think I'm still getting some things wrong here. I feel like there are a lot of rules lost, and even if this is a version 2 rulebook, it's a pain to follow. How the Great Wall works is it is ultimately a worker placement game. So you're going to place some clerks around some different spots, and they're going to generate some actions like you being able to build out soldiers and archers and horsemen. It's also going to give you different resources like gold and chi, and it also lets you move around different soldiers around the Great Wall. And ultimately, your goal is to, this is where the most fun part about Great Wall is that it's semi-cooperative, kind of like Nemesis, in that you have to make sure that you are defending against the Great Wall. And if you do, you also get rewarded in honor. Honor is the victory point system for the game. So you want to make sure you defend against the incoming hordes while also benefiting yourself and scoring the most honor as well. I think, and again, this is a preliminary impression, I think playing with the base game, it definitely feels like I'm missing something, because the first game that I played, I didn't honestly build any soldiers, no horsemen, no archers. I didn't build any part of my army, and yet I still won by gathering honor from like donating resources and doing a bunch of other things in the worker placement section. So then we played again, and I did build a few more soldiers, but at the same time, I just didn't feel like there was a necessary need to build out soldiers to score a lot of points. I just like built walls, and these score you a ton of honor, more than soldiers did. So because of that, I added in the Black Powder expansion, and now I can't even imagine playing this game without the Black Powder expansion, because it adds in different crazy artillery and all of these things that not only escalate the horde, that way you are paying attention to both sides, the worker placement side where you're generating resources, and the right side where you're managing this tower defense system coming in. But there are a ton of rules I'm still looking up. Actually, I even wrote down a whole list of questions that I had playing through my third play of the game, okay? And if you know this, please let me know in the comments below. So number one, apparently there's no max advisors for this game, but somehow one of my friends over the weekend got like 10,000 advisors. And there's no way that that can happen. I just so broken if there is no limit to advisors. But from what I'm seeing, there's no limit to advisors, but there are some general abilities that give you more advisors. But my overall question for advisors is, do you have to pay for advisors every single time that you get, like, you get 2 more free advisors for free ability? That's my ultimate question. Because if you do have to pay for advisors and you have to pay 2 gold plus the number of advisors you already have, then I guess that would balance out how many advisors that you can gain. Second question I had was, do these walls stack in terms of defense? Like the first wall is 8 defense and the second wall is 12 defense. If I add these together, does that make it 20 defense that you count for the incoming hordes, or is it just 12, like whatever's showing up top? Third question I had, can the ballistas move in the Black Powder expansion? Fourth question I had, can the ballistas, like who owns them? And then how often can you shoot with them? Fourth question I had, do you play all of your cards first and then the person on the highest of the T stack get to activate? Do they get to activate each location right after everyone's cards play out? Or do you activate one card and then activate all the locations, and then activate another card and then activate all the locations? And the last question I had was for raid placement. So you have a row of 3x3 hordes coming in, and if another set of hordes come in and there already is a full section of hordes, a raid initiates. When that raid happens, I wasn't sure like where the next card goes. Like, does it go to just like a random stack? Because on the back of this card, on these cards, it shows like a symbol like showing whether it's gonna go on left, middle, or right. Like, do those hordes just go to the next empty spot, or does it just stop and then you remove the amount of dishonor? You see what I mean? So there's a ton of points of clarification that I need in order to really solidify my thoughts about this game. But overall, it's fun, and I would definitely play it again. But I just wish it was a little bit less frustrating with a better rulebook, because even with the version 2.0, it's pretty bad. We need to tighten up the bolts here and figure out the rules properly so I can play this properly and review it properly. Okay, so that was number 2, the Great Wall. Okay, game number 3 was an unexpected one, but Jackie was the one who asked to play this, and I was like, okay, I'm 100,000% down if you want to play Blood Rage. So Blood Rage has quickly, very, very quickly, escalated up my top games chart. Like, I don't know if this would be a top 10, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it being a top 10 on like my overall board game list, because it's so freaking fun. Like, the more I play Blood Rage, the more I appreciate it and the more fun I have with this game, because ultimately, if you don't know what Blood Rage is, it is an older game. I think it came out like 7 years ago, and it's the first of Eric Lang's trilogies of Blood Rage to Rising Sun to Ankh. And I think Blood Rage is like my favorite of the 3. It is hands down one of the best area control games that I've ever played. It's so ridiculously fun because each monster brings in unique abilities. There are also, I kind of wish that each clan had their own unique asymmetric abilities, which is probably my biggest critique in a lot of games, actually, that you've probably watched my reviews for. But I just feel like there's some missed opportunities here. Either way, I actually don't think that there needs to be asymmetry here. Like, it would have been nice, but I don't think this game needs that asymmetric faction like Ankh does. But Blood Rage, anyways, is a really fun area control game. You're drafting cards each round, and with those cards, you're choosing how you want to gain glory. Either you're fighting more and choosing Thor-themed cards, or you're dying more and choosing Loki-themed cards. And I know there's like a Loki strategy where you're purposefully dying that we can score a ton of victory points, sending your troops to Valhalla, because dying isn't really a bad thing in this game. And I just love how competitive this game is, how easy it is to introduce to everybody, and how much fun that you have just being in a very small map. And it's so confrontational. There's so much player interaction, and every single person I've introduced this game to so far has had so much fun. Like, every time we finish a game day, I always ask them, what's your favorite game from today? Blood Rage. From everybody, I think from 8-9 people already so far have all said Blood Rage. And I totally agree, because these games have been so epic. The fights have been absolutely insane, fighting for the middle center circle. Yggdrasil. I know it's a little early to say, and I still want to get through a ton more games before I say this, but I'm going to say anyway, I think Blood Rage is definitely up there with Dwellings. Like, it's such a fun freaking game. If you like area control, if you like a Viking themed game with a ton of play interaction, and if you haven't played Blood Rage just yet, what are you waiting for? Now, the last game that we played on a Saturday night to finish off the night was actually the 3rd in the trilogy. And speaking of Blood Rage, we played Ankh, which is pretty much an Egyptian themed version of Blood Rage, but the 3 are very different from each other. So Ankh, even though it's in the same trilogy as Blood Rage and the same area control genre, it's very, very different because each god has asymmetric powers. The way you're building your tableau is very different. Everyone also has the same set of cards. I feel like Ankh is very similar to Kemet in that when you fight, you have the same set of 7 cards, and you're playing cards to either build out different pyramids and temples. You're competing with different amount of points. I'll go link my video here so you can see the full like breakdown of how Ankh works. But I think what's really fun about this is that at 4 players, you get to really experience the merger rule in full, because I was in 2nd place, and then my friend Dennis was in 1st place. Dennis, you're watching this video, you're the best. But Dennis was in 1st place. I was in 2nd, and then we had Jackie and our friend Michael in last place. So it was Osiris and Anubis merged together. They became like so OP and went from like 10 devotion spots behind all the way to like the very, very top. It was such a close game. It was like, I think everyone was within like 3 to 4 points of each other on the devotion track. So Ankh was really, really fun. What I really enjoy about Ankh is how it starts off slow, but it quickly escalates as everyone gains more and more god abilities, and as everyone starts to understand how to manage their army of gods. Like, it's not always about having the most on the board or having the most territories, but more so being able to maintain those territories. So Ankh, super fun. I absolutely love this game, and I also continue to enjoy it consistently as well. So that was Ankh, and the last game that we played on Sunday night multiple times in a row was Nemesis. Right? Now, Nemesis, yet another game that has a very questionable rulebook layout and very different from any other game that we talked about today. So with Nemesis, it is a semi-cooperative game too, just like the Great Wall, but you're not facing an incoming horde, but more so you're trying to survive on a broken down spaceship, and you're also trying to not make noise, because every time you move in the ship, there are these yellow markers that makes noise. And if you make multiple stacks of these noise markers, then aliens are going to come in, and they are brutal. Let me tell you now, this game overall is very difficult. And I also don't know if we are missing something here, but in the second game that we played, only played 2 games, again, just first impression, okay? So the first game that we played, we went off on our own and died very quickly because the aliens just took over our ship and we all kind of just did our own thing. That was not a smart plan. And the second time around, we did the complete opposite and we kind of stuck together. Me, not more so. I was very manipulative and kind of went off on my own, but everyone else kind of stuck together and killed off all the aliens to the point where we ran out of aliens to draw. So I think that was something that we might have missed. I'm pretty sure we missed something. I know that in the setup, you're supposed to add in 1 more adult alien per player that you have, and we did miss that rule in the second play, so I feel like that might have messed with it. But either way, I don't think you should be running out of a pool of aliens, because then there's no point of us like moving around, because then you wouldn't make any noise. So I don't know what we're missing there, but overall, I also saw that a lot of people, when they play Nemesis, it lasts like an hour and a half, which is pretty quick. Am I missing something here? But is this a really long game? Because 15 rounds is a really long time. And I hope that there's some way to cut down the overall game length, because there's no way that there are 15 rounds. And because this game takes like 2.5 to 3.5 hours to finish every single time. I hope there's a more optimal way of playing Nemesis. I'm going to try to play it online if there's like a TTS mod or there's some way to play it online, like on Steam or something, because the games are very long. And I hope it's not too long, because this is a game that I would easily play way more often if it wasn't like a 3-hour game. Like if it was like an hour and a half, that would be prime at 4 players. So let me know what you all think about Nemesis down below, because I am very interested in knowing how long it takes you to finish Nemesis. And if there's like, you have any tips for me too about how to play the game, I would love to hear them. But yeah, overall, I love this game so far. I love the premise. It's very dark. It's very, my friend Bryce was the one who told me about this game and why I bit the bullet finally about getting it. And Bryce, you're right. It is so cinematic. I love the story. Everyone had a very immersive time with it. But I just hope that the gameplay overall just, shortens up a little bit, tightens up a little more once we understand how to play. That way I can get locked down too. That way I have an excuse to get locked down as well. And the third title that Awakened Realms will be coming out with later this year. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching this random rant about the games that I simply enjoyed playing over the weekend. Honestly, this weekend was so refreshing. It makes me more motivated to make even more content because we got so many games played. And I just can't wait to share them all with you. So thank you all so much for watching and hanging out with me. If you made it here to the very end, tell me which game that you most recently played, because I would love to know. Gotta always add more games to my list of things to watch out for. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.